Hi, welcome to Gen Cam Plays Board Games, a channel where I, Gen Cam, play board games solo to help you decide if a game is right for you. Today we'll be playing CoraQuest, which is a dungeon crawler designed by the father-daughter duo Dan and Cora Hughes. For the sake of transparency, I was provided with a review copy of the game, but I did not receive any other forms of compensation. Last but not least, if you like this type of content, please consider liking and subscribing and hit that notification bell so you will know when new videos go up. And with all that out of the way, let's get started. Since the game is part of a story, I don't want to ruin the story for you and your family in case you're watching this to kind of find out together if this is a game for you. So I'm going to walk you through a round of the game, and that way, outside of the introduction, you aren't going to reveal any there will be no spoilers. I don't want to spoil it for you. Okay, so I have a set up for the game, and as you can see, we do have 4 heroes here. There are actually 8 characters that come in the base game, but you can pick and choose which 4 you want to play with. So plenty of options, but you do need to play with 4 no matter how many players there are. So we have our starting dungeon tile here, and this is our player aid to help us remember to do all the steps. We do have all 4 of our standees. I placed them on our starter card. I know from a top-down camera it is kind of harder to see which one is which, but they are very cute. So we could take a quick look at Healer Cat, and they are double-sided, so you can see front, back. That part doesn't matter, but the art in this game is very cute. And that is because all of the art is based on children's drawings, which I just think is such a fun way to approach a game that was designed by a father-daughter and meant to be a welcoming dungeon crawler for families. So on our turn, each character is going to do 2 full actions, but then can also do any number of free actions. So our free actions are reveal, so placing more tiles in the dungeon, and then use if they have an object that we picked up from a treasure chest, they can do that. We also have our 2 full actions, which are move, search, swap, revive, which we'll not be doing in this playthrough, and then also attack. So when you start a quest, you're going to want to read the introduction, but if you want to not read it, you do have the option of going to CoraQuest.com, where everything can be narrated for you and also has music. You also have the option of doing music only. So if you want to still read it yourself, but want the music, that is an option for you. One of the cool things about this game is how customizable it is, but we'll be talking more about that after the playthrough.
Thanks for the memories. Introduction. Wizard Pebbledash calls you over. He looks very worried. "Oh, my gnome assistants, Kevin and Annabelle, went into Hudder's dungeon to look for a new pet," he tells you. "But it's nearly bedtime now, and they're still not home. Oh, they're not very good assistants," he says. "And they never cleaned my spoon collection properly, but I'm quite fond of them, really, and I'd hate for them to be in any danger. Oh, could you find them for me?" You decide you will help Wizard Pebbledash find Kevin and Annabelle. After all, how much trouble could a couple of gnomes have gotten themselves into?
Well, I'm going to guess they can get into a lot of trouble in such a short time. So we are going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to decide which one of our characters we want to go first. And I think we're going to have it be Robo Kettle because they have the most health. So we can see we have health of 10 and movement of 3. But we're going to do a free action, which is reveal. So we're going to look over here, and we have our stack of dungeon tiles. So since he's going to reveal, we are going to take this and put it right by that card. And the reason for that will be covered in a little bit. So we're going to take the top card, and now we can see that it has a number here. If we had pulled one that had a letter and a scroll somewhere on the card, then we would be progressing in the story. But this does not. So we're going to decide which way we want to place it. So it has to line up. We can't do this here like this. They do have to line up, and this one doesn't have any walls, so we don't have to worry about that. Since Robo Kettle is here, we can only place this here. If it was on the edge, then we could do it over there. But let's place this right here. And we can see we have different symbols. So that is going to represent the different monsters. Okay, so if we look at our orc, we can see that it has that symbol. And we can see that it has 3 hearts or 3 health. They can move up to 3. And this is how they're going to attack. And this is the range they can attack. Okay, so we're going to place our 2 orcs here. And it looks like we also have a gremlin. So we'll take one of those, place it here again. I know you can't really see because of standees, but this is our gremlin. And these are our orcs. And the gremlin has a health of 1, can move 4, but it is ranged. It can shoot its arrows up to 8 spaces. So since that was RoboKettle's free action, I think what we're going to do is I think we're actually going to move because his range is only 1. And since Crossbow Dude has a big range, he'll be able to hit it on its turn. Well, assuming he actually hits. So since RoboKettle can move up to 3, I think we're just going to go 1, and that way we are in range of that orc. So in this game, you can do movement diagonally. It does not have to be orthogonally. So that is 1 action, and then now we're going to attack with the second action. So if we look at the weapon and his kind of base stats, we can see that we have 1 red and 1 white. So that's how we know what we're going to roll for our attack. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll. And we got 1 hit. So we'll take a little splatter token and we're going to set it right next to that gremlin. And that is going to be the end of RoboKettle's turn. So I have these little glass figurines from Jennifer Ham's, oh gosh, what's it called? Jennifer Ham Handmade Glass, which is Rado's wife. I have like a whole little pack of these. So we're going to use these so I remember whose turn is, who's already gone. Next up, I think we're going to have Crossbow Dude take his turn. And we're going to go after this gremlin. And he also has a red and a white, but we only need 1 hit. And we got no hits. Oh God. Okay, it's going to be that kind of game. So if you miss, you get to then flip the card over to its determined side, which then is going to increase your chances of hitting. So for our second action, we are going to attack again, but now we get to attack with an extra white die. And it is a hit, so we can get rid of our gremlin since it only had 1 health. But now we do flip this back to its regular side, and that will be the end of Crossbow Dude's turn. That was a bummer because I was really hoping he'd be able to do 2 attacks, but that was not the case. Next up, let's have Wizard Woman move. She can go up to 4. Let's have her go 1, 2, 3. She will get attacked, but she does have 8 health, but she's also then not blocking anybody. So that is her max 3. And then she is going to attack. She's actually going to attack this one because it already does have 1. Maybe she could take it out. Like maybe. We'll see. And she does have a line of sight because it's going to go from this corner to this corner, which is where the orc is standing. But we're going to cross our fingers and hope she gets 2 hits. And she gets no hits. So we're going to our determined side. And that's the end of her turn because we did move. And now it's up to Healer Cat. So Healer Cat can move up to 5. So let's move her to here. And she will also go after our orc. And oh my gosh, she also missed. So that is the end of her turn. So next we're going to go into the enemy phase. And of course that means they are going to take their turns attacking us. So neither of them are going to move because they are already in range. They have a range of 1 and we can decide which order they're going to go. So we'll let this one go first and it is going to use 2 red die, which uh, has more of a chance to hit. So they're going to go after Robo Kettle. And they missed. Oh my gosh, that's so lucky. They don't have a determined side. So that's great. Now this orc is we're gonna have go after Wizard Woman. Let's go ahead and roll. And they missed again. Oh, that is so lucky. Oh my gosh. Okay, that makes up for all of ours missing as well. And now we can go into the countdown phase. So then we're going to look over on this board. If we had used any of our player special abilities, we would then be moving the tokens down. Okay, special abilities. We do need to talk about that, huh? So each player has its own special ability. So Robo Kettle, for example, can move up to 2 adjacent enemies next to 1 square each. So if I had decided to use a special ability, then Robo Kettle could have moved this orc 1 space since it was adjacent, and then I would place this marker here to show that the special ability had been used. And then in the countdown phase, we would move it down until eventually it falls off. But what about this token? Remember how I said we'll get to this later? If we had not revealed anything in the dungeon and this mark token was still on top of our dungeon cards, we would move this down. If this ever falls off, we then have to place spider tokens on any of the map tiles that have spider webs on them. So we would, for instance, put that one here, and then that's just more enemies that we need to face. And let me tell you, those spiders are fast. But since we did reveal part of the dungeon, we are going to take the torch token and place it back on our map tile deck for the next round. So that is the end of the round. So we also can flip our player aid back to this side where then we can also see again what moves or actions we can take on our turn. So say on our next round, even though we still had enemies, maybe we're like, okay, these 3 are going to take care of those 2. And we decided that crossbow dude was going to reveal another room also to keep away the spiders, which if you are arachnophobic like me, just know that while I will never think a spider is cute in any form, except for those dancing ones, those ones are cute. But anyway, if you are also arachnophobic, the spiders in the game are not scary looking, so don't worry about that. Or if your children are arachnophobic, it's not too scary. So say we revealed another dungeon tile to try to avoid the spiders, and we pulled this one and it had a treasure chest. So we would then place our treasure chest token here. Now, obviously, when this was revealed, we would also be placing 2 more orcs that were probably protecting that treasure chest. But say we defeated those, in order to grab the treasure, you can either be on top of the treasure chest or next to a treasure chest. And then you would use one of your actions, so it does take an action, to search the treasure chest. So we would remove the token because each treasure chest can only be searched once, and we would draw a treasure card. Oh my gosh. And I was going to show you this anyway, but as luck would have it, we drew a trap. And of course, a trap is no bueno. So for a trap, we would roll a red to avoid it. If you roll no successes, take 2 damage, you may draw another treasure card, discard after use. So yeah, you're still going to be able to get a treasure, but you have to roll to see if you are going to take any damage. And for the red dice, it is a 50-50 chance, but then you would get to draw another card. But as an example, we also drew a cutlass, which then would add 2 white dice in addition to your base rolls. For example, if Robo Kettle got the cutlass, the 2 would then be in addition to his base red. Now you can only use one weapon or defense per attack, but you can hold as many objects as you want. You can swap objects within your own bag whenever you want. Now, if I wanted to then give this cutlass to Wizard Woman, that would take one of my 2 actions for that turn. But as I'm sure you can imagine, it's really good to get those treasure chests because you are going to get more powerful weapons. You can get items that will help you for defense, or you might get things like potions, like this potion of accuracy. Add 1 white die to all your attacks for 1 round, and then you would discard after use. Throughout the story, you might also be picking up some personal items, which I'm not going to spoil, but they obviously are going to help you through the dungeon. Okay, so I know that was a very short overview of the game, but I did want you to see around. But there's also a lot more to this game and the story that I want to show you because those are the things that make this so different, at least in my opinion, to other dungeon crawlers. So as I previously said, this game was designed by Dan and Cora. I can't remember how old Cora was when the game was designed, but Cora was pretty young when they did this. And I just think that's such a remarkable story and just how accessible this makes CoraQuest. Now, if you are hardcore into dungeon crawlers, and you're playing solo, then maybe this game isn't for you unless you want something, lighter. For me, as somebody who has not played a lot of dungeon crawlers, this was a really great introduction into that kind of whole genre of board games. And I really appreciate the accessibility when I'm playing solo. Normally, managing 4 different characters all at the same time would be pretty overwhelming. But this game is not overwhelming. I don't get caught up or trying to remember what I was going to do, plan to do. I don't have to worry about all these different abilities or things like that. Yes, they do have special abilities, but there's only 4. You can only really think about it every few turns. Of course, you're going to plan ahead. There is that, determined side mechanic, which is great. But, I guess really if you wanted the game to still be a little bit harder, you could just not flip it over to the determined side. That being said, in the rulebook, there are kind of suggestions on how to increase the difficulty if that's what you want to do. So I know on BGG it does say that this game plays best at 4, and that makes sense because you do have to play with 4 characters. However, you can divvy up like how many characters everybody has depending upon what works best for you and your family. So if one of the players is younger, maybe they can only manage 1, then maybe they play with 1 and an adult plays with 3. So you can kind of do that and base that on your family and who's playing and how new they are. Or maybe they're a little bit older, or maybe this isn't their first rodeo and they can play with 2. So then you can just split it up 2 and 2. So while it probably does play best at 4, I don't think that's a major issue in playing the game because it's just a matter of divvying it up based on people's experience levels. I do also really appreciate that there is 8 different characters to choose from, so everybody can kind of pick and choose what is going to be the most fun for them to play. But if none of these characters appeal to you, you have another option. You can go to CoraQuest.com and go to Character Creator. So you go there, click on your language, and you can make heroes or you can make enemies, which is super cool. So say I want to make my own hero, then you are going to pick an image. Okay, so say we are going to use this one. It's important to note that it does not upload this to any site. So for privacy, especially if it's for a photo of a child, this remains on your computer and it is not uploaded anywhere else. So then you can click the arrow and you're just going to kind of play around till it's right where you want it to be. We can zoom in about right there. Then we can move on to the next step. And let's name our character Jen Cam. Now I can decide if they're going to be standard, fast, tough, or custom. If it's custom, you are going to add how much health you want them to have and what the movement is. So fast obviously is going to be fast, but less health. Tough is going to be more health, less movement, and then of course you can go somewhere in the middle. So let's go with fast. Now we can pick our special ability. There are lots of different options. Ooh, I like this one. When you search for treasure, draw 2 cards from the treasure deck and pick the one you would like. Put the other card at the bottom of the deck. So might be a great way to avoid those traps. And then we can also pick our starting weapon. So we have catapult, broadsword, spear, crossbow, axe, bow, throwing knives, club, quarterstaff, wand. And then, of course, you can always do a custom as well here. So once you decide those, let's go with a bow. I like range, especially if we're going to move that fast and have so little health. Might as well have some range. So we can move on to the next step. And you can see here, it gives you everything you need to print off your character. So you have your standee, you have your player card, you have the determined side, and then you also have your tokens to use for the countdown track. So that is just like one of the really fun ways that this game is a lot more inviting for families and younger characters because they could, if they wanted, just draw their own character and then you could use that instead of using a photo. There's just so many different ways that families and children can make this game their own. And a lot of people have done that. When you go to the website, there is a whole section on community and community content. So here are just some of the things that you can find under the community tab, which is heroes by the community, enemies by the community, and quests by the community, because yes, you can create your own quests as well. But to further spur creativity, there are also submissions of fan art drawn by kids. So here are some pieces of art that were submitted of Sword Girl, and it's just amazing to see how great this community is and fosters creativity. There is a whole other section that's just dedicated to music that's inspired by the game that you can also play in the background for immersion. There's just so much. And if that's not enough content for you, there is also the expansion CoraQuest Keep on Questing. Keep on Questing is going to make this more of a campaign game. So it is going to make it so that way you can keep your items between quests. You'll be able to level up your characters. So while in the base game of CoraQuest, you are going just a different quest, right? So you can switch up your characters to each of the different quests. With Keep on Questing, it is going to keep going. So you are going to be doing a campaign. There are 2 campaigns in the game with 5 different quests in each campaign. And of course, you get new characters, new items, new monsters. There's more new tiles for the dungeon. It even comes with an alternate healer cat, where in the base game healer cat, you are rolling the dice to see if you are able to heal any other of the characters, but in the Keep on Questing expansion, it is an automatic 1 health. So if you're struggling, or maybe you're just really bad at rolling dice, which, yeah, this is going to be a hard game, but say like that, or you have somebody that's getting frustrated because you keep dying, you can use Healer Cat with this new alternate special ability. Another great thing about the expansion is, again, the community. The community came together to help create this game. Children from all over the world submitted their artwork to be a part of this expansion. So it really was a group effort, and that's just absolutely amazing. So I know this wasn't a full playthrough, which is what I usually do on this channel, but one, I didn't want to spoil anything, but two, I didn't want to do a 45 to 60-minute video and not have the chance to talk about all the other things that makes CoraQuest different from other dungeon crawlers and really, really makes it special. But please let me know in the comments below, would you like me to do a full playthrough of either CoraQuest or the base game? Would you prefer for it to be spoiler free so you can explore things on your own? Let me know, because I've really enjoyed playing this and it just being so much more accessible for especially me as a solo player. And it's just so cute. I mean, there's spiders and I'm not afraid. And that says a lot, like a lot. But as I said before, please consider liking and subscribing. Hit that notification bell because if you guys want, like I said, to see a full playthrough of one of the scenarios, then you will know when that video comes along. Till next time, bye-bye.